Oh, I can't spend the nose. Give us something on it. Smack it. Oh, can you tell me who? Did you see it? I'm glad you stopped by. Take him to him, baby. Yeah. Take him up again. Oh, can you tell me who? Yeah. Kainan Shank, what's going on, brother, man?
Not much, man.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Thank you. You know I'm always coming on to you.
Oh my god. You win this round. It's the strongest entrance anyone's ever made on the show. Straight to the harassment. Let me just say, of all the bandmates I've ever had, you've definitely taken the brunt of all the mean things that people are going to say. And you've handled it so well that you're allowed to take shots whenever you want.
Well, I appreciate that, brother.
You just can't keep playing fucking Rush on stage, bro. What's up with you and Rush? Is that like your earliest rock and roll love, or is this just a meme to you?
Yeah, earliest rock and roll love, like a consistent rock and roll love, you know, the prog rock.
You said like you and your dad were big prog people, right?
Yeah, my dad was, like, Rush, I think, was his favorite band ever.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And he also, like, got me hip to Yes and Genesis. But
Johnny Disco was just telling me that he saw Rush, no, not Rush, Yes and Peter Frampton at Taste of Red, White, and Bluish maybe 15 years ago.
Oh, that's
it's like
awesome.
they've really fallen apart up there. Come on, haven't lit in Collective Soul. No, Collective Soul is pretty nice, but lit, come on.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like those big bands are so much harder to book nowadays, I think.
Mm-hmm. When there's probably less, not that Yes and Peter Frampton are legacy bands, but there's a lot of the great rock and rollers have decided against keeping up with it because of just the way the world is now. And like,
right,
we probably would still have Jeff Beck if he didn't want to tour so hard and get meningitis. You know what I mean? R.I.P.
Right. Big R.I.P.
Yeah, dude. That was it was a very weird one, it felt like. You know, I don't think anyone was ready to lose Jeff Beck. The guy who sold me my suit for my wedding, he loved Jeff Beck, and we cried together that day.
Oh, man.
And I didn't want to see that. I mean, this guy, sell me a goddamn suit, Alan. Come on.
But, you know, sometimes you got to let the suit, the tailor, cry on your fucking shoulder.
Do I have to?
You kind of have to.
You're full of the game. So your dad's a big Rush fan, and then you kind of spun off of there?
Yeah, because, you know, my earliest taste of music, just like anyone, is like the parents.
Yeah.
And my dad was the musician in the household, so like it was more so from him than my mom early on. And my first concert, he took me to see Rush at Riverbend.
First concert?
Yeah.
Dude, that's an intense way to step into the game.
Mm-hmm. I was like a few days into being 11, I think, or I'm pretty sure.
I was beginning my 11th year. I was 5 days in.
Yeah. Like it was like 9 days in or something. It was like very quickly. You know, I was still preteen. I think it was before the diabetes by like a few months.
What a crazy collision of childhood and adulthood that must have been. You found out at 12 that you were diabetic?
No, I was like, I think it was a few months after I turned 11.
God, dude, that's intense. What was it like when you found that out? Did you have to go to the hospital because something was going on? And
yeah, no, I went to the doctor actually because I lost like 20 pounds. I went from like 90 pounds to 70.
Sweet God.
Something, yeah. I was like tired all the time. My breath was kicking no matter what I did. I could brush my teeth, spit out the toothpaste and the saliva. And then
you're supposed to swallow the paste, bro.
Is that what it is? Maybe I'm not diabetic.
Brother, you've been taking all this insulin. What you really need is fluoride. That's so wrong.
Yeah, like my breath was kicking, and anytime I drank anything, I was constantly thirsty and like dehydrated and parched.
They're like, this guy's sick.
I knew I was diabetic because I was like this.
Dude, stop. The community is going to come after you as one of them, just like, we don't even want him anymore. Get him the fluoride, kick him off the team. Someone take it, confiscate his pump. Let's get him out of here.
Right. And I was always like, I had constant urination after drinking too.
No shit. Why would that be?
No shit, just urination. That's because when your blood sugar gets too high, your body gets ketones, and your body don't want them, and you can just drink and like flush them out. So your body's just in a constant state of like, I'm trying to piss this shit out, man.
That's bizarre. And
Yeah.
ketosis is when people do like the keto diet, like they cut out all carbs and things like that. Is that why, like, I've heard like say if you drink a gallon of orange juice versus eating the equivalent of that in actual oranges, the fiber of the orange helps to slow down your body's metabolism of that sugar. And that way it's not just straight to your liver, giving you like fatty liver disease and all that.
Mm-hmm. It might have something to do with it. I know like ketones and diabetic ketoacidosis is like has some similarity to
Say that again, diabetic ketoacidosis.
yeah.
And is that like that's the reaction, or is that like the permanent state that the body's in?
That's the state the body goes into when your blood sugar gets too high. So it's
Gotcha.
like you got a fat amount of ketones or something.
And then is that when you would apply insulin, or is it the other way?
You want to apply insulin well before it gets there.
Neat. Must trying to party, keto up.
But yeah, if it gets to that point, you definitely need to get some insulin in you.
Yeah. And at 12, like, how much did that change your life?
It didn't seem as bad at first. I tell people, like, the older I get, the more frustrated I am that I have diabetes than when I first got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at first, like, so I had all the symptoms. We went to the doctor, and we were telling the doctor, and she's like, let me smell your breath. And she smelled my breath, and she was like, "Ugh. Yeah, you have diabetes. Go to the hospital. We can't do anything." I was like, what?
Brutal.
Terrified.
Yeah, dude.
Like, that's all she gave us. I was like, I mean, you know, they drove me from there to the hospital. They kept me there for several days. The first day, I couldn't eat anything except ice chips. And, yeah. And they just wanted to see what my blood sugar did after 24 hours of not taking in any sugar or carbohydrates.
Word.
And, yep, they were like, all right, yeah, you have diabetes. Now we'll give you insulin and you can eat.
And so over the years, it's become more frustrating just because you realize all the things you got to avoid, or just like the lifestyle?
The lifestyle, and especially like becoming an adult and dealing with health insurance in the States. And
Yeah, fucking Christ. I can't imagine
Yeah.
what that's like.
mm-hmm.
Just the sheer cost of insulin, I've heard, is so high right now. And like, to be in the category that you and I are, of like self-employed, it's like, well, you don't get insulin, you know? At least not cheap.
Well, there is that. It can be super expensive, but I think like Walmart has a shittier brand of insulin that you can get for like $25 flat.
Sounds right for Walmart. Where they're like, who's a good market that needs us? Let's get the diabetics.
How are we gonna rope them in?
Half off Mountain Dew if you get insulin here. They got good scams, brother.
That probably is a offer they have going on. I wouldn't be surprised. But
Man. Well, there's also like, doesn't Mark Cuban have a company that's like, the name of the company is like cost plus shipping drugs or something like that. And he's really trying to get just generic drugs, you know, made at the lowest cost plus shipping. And that's the whole MO of the business.
oh, I mean that's good for the people that need these medicine brands cheaper.
Yeah.
It sounds like, but I'm sure you know.
It's such a weird thing to approach as an adult, though. Of like, you assume that medicine is accessible until you turn the ripe age of 26, and you're like, oh, it's accessible, but you just need to be the right kind of person for it to be accessible. You know what I mean?
Right. And so like that was an annoyance as an adult. And if you have like any kind of insurance, or even if you just go to like ListPro's website and like give them your name and your email, they'll be like, all right, now you can get insulin for $35 flat. That's not that weird kind. And so I like, you know.
Yeah, get a voucher. It's pretty much an insulin Groupon is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And my when I got off my dad's insurance, there was this like we didn't know I was going to get kicked off. We thought I was still going to be able to stay on, and then nope.
What age was this?
26.
Okay, cool. So when it was assumed that you'd be kicked off of there? What?
It was assumed, and then my dad didn't look into it too hard, and he was like, "Oh no, I think you'll still be on, so you'll be good." And I was like,
"You're like, no."
Cool. I was like, "Sick,
sweet."
So I didn't like I had put in my info and healthcare.gov and stuff, but it the ball didn't get finalized. So then on my birthday I got kicked off of his, and the first time I tried to get insulin again, they were like, it's going to be like hundreds of dollars. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pull around and call my dad.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
I did that, came back, like talked to them again, and the pharmacist at that time was like, yeah, if you just go to their website, it'll be like $35. And I was like, so this other pharmacist almost charged me hundreds of dollars, like almost 3 times that, or I mean 10 times that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And all the while I could have just like gotten this a tenth of the price.
That's disturbing. And also like the fact that it depends on which person you get. Does someone want to help you in that way? And like all of our medical billing is kind of ambiguous like that. Yeah. Like every time you get a surgery in a hospital, it's like someone should go through the liner notes of this thing and make sure that all the producers are mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
because they might charge you $50 for a bag of saline, and you could have mixed up that concoction at your crib. Like here's my half gal of homemade saline. It's tap water and table salt. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. And then a couple of years ago, or I think like 6 months ago, actually, I was talking to my grandma, and she was telling me like the same thing. Like you have to ask about this stuff. You have to find out.
Yeah.
And she told me that she's been getting these eye drops like once a month or something for years. That she was paying $85 for the longest time, and then she had just one pharmacist who was like, "Hey, you're paying $85 for this. You can go to their website and then like print off the thing, and then it'll just be like $40. So it's like half the price." And so I'm now I just assume like so many medications, like the company for whatever reason just tries to throw all this overhead on it.
Yeah.
But then like if you actually need it, you can just go to their website and they'll be like, all right, yeah, it'll be this cheap, much cheaper amount.
Dude, it's sketchy when you get in the weeds like that. I think also like when you look at very susceptible groups of people, especially like senior citizens who don't got the time or the capacity to have to go through everything that they go through in a given year. It's like the amount of medical treatments you get is a shit show to start. Then to say like, okay, now if you want to get the Groupon, you're gonna have to go through three websites and you got to set up accounts. Like that's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
Dude, Em was trying to change up. It might have been her hair routine, but it could have been a skincare routine. And there was one chemical she was trying to avoid. So she's reading, like, the ingredient list. Mm-hmm. And she's smart enough to know that, like, these two chemicals together make that chemical.
I see.
And, like, they'd stop listing the one chemical that people are nervous about. They just base it on the
ingredients of that chemical.
Exactly. It's like, we're not selling you meth, but here is almost a verbatim plot list of how we make meth. Like, I've been watching a lot of Breaking Bad, brother. And all I go to Lowe's, okay, and I shake people down. I'm like, you're not going to be making anything good with what's in that cart. Get back in there, kid. because that's my favorite scene in the whole show thus far. Is when he's walking through this other guy.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a great moment in time where you watch a tweaker meet the kingpin at Lowe's, very cash, and he just finds out that you're not shopping at Aldi. Okay, this is Lowe's, bro. Get back in there. So, as an adult, with just keeping up with the day-to-day regimen, like what's the biggest kick in the ass?
I think I've learned, like, from YouTube as an adult that your body processes insulin different depending on, like, certain factors. I've heard, like, one of them being if you've eaten a lot of oily food, your cells are less receptive to insulin. So then you're eating the same number of carbohydrates. So on paper, you would take the same amount of insulin, but then you notice like your blood sugar's higher longer, or it gets higher, and you're like, what the heck? Same amount of carbs as if I ate, this many bananas or something. But because it's food that's messing with your cells in a different way, and your body in general, your body's less receptive to the insulin, so you have to take more. So trying to figure out, they tell you when you get type 1 diabetes as a kid, like, you can eat anything, you just have to take insulin for it. And that's like true. But
sounds like awful advice. Like first thing I do is I get a bunch of Little Debbie's products. I go home, I get back to my Mountain Dew regimen.
Yeah. So, like, it is true you can't eat anything, but like, if you eat a bunch of this stuff that's going to affect your body negatively, then you're going to need your insulin's going to be like less predictable how your body's going to process it. Which is another thing that's frustrating to find out as an adult, and then like try to realize and then try to like manage.
Yeah.
But it's true you can't eat anything, and there's ways to make it work. Yeah, it might just be like a lot more difficult to keep your blood sugars stable and steady.
And did that kind of bring about your choice to turn vegan, or was that just, two different, parts of your life?
It was two different parts. It was the whole like, moral thing with animals and the planet, global warming and whatnot. But like, then I noticed months after, like, I think it was like the next time I went to my doctor, my diabetes endocrinologist, she was like, oh, your hemoglobin A1C level, which is like a number that indicates like what your blood sugar has been for the last 3 months on average. It's better than it's ever been since you've had diabetes.
That's crazy. And what was like I'm sure your first year being vegan was probably the toughest, of learning what you could and couldn't eat. Did you feel better during that time? Like, what were you kind of living off of?
I know the vegan praise is like, I'm never tired no more. I'm happier. Everything's fine now.
That's pro wrestler veganism. Okay, that guy actually loves jerky, but when he steps in the ring, he's the green leaf.
I mean, I've been watching the WWE forever.
Fuck everything else. Let's quit the music thing. We got an idea, bro. We're serving kale chips in the audience. Okay.
But no, I've maybe felt a little bit better, but also at that time was an important time in my life when I got the last job I had before I moved to Cincinnati, when I was living in Dayton, and I started doing the music and the school thing full time. I had a more consistent sleep schedule than I'd ever had before. I was drinking water more often. I think that was probably around the time I started like getting outside more and going on nature walks and hikes a lot more often. So it was just a pile of healthy lifestyle changes that I was making. So it's hard to attribute all of that with my, diabetes being better and like just feeling better in general, just solely to veganism.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it had some effect, but I didn't feel like a brand new person,
And with your move to Cincinnati, did you plan on changing so much of your lifestyle towards these things that, I'm sure some of it was well researched. Some of it was like, I just got to get outside and, have a normal lifestyle and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I just started going outside more because some friends had taken me to some parks more recently, and I was like, these are beautiful, and this is fun, just like walking around and talking in these beautiful parks.
Yeah.
So, that was more so the reason for that. But there was, for my health sake, I'd given up sweets a lot more at that time. Not lately.
Dude, what's the Girl Scout cookie that we found out was vegan that you went ham on?
Thin Mints.
Bro, you went ham on those Thin Mints. Dude, it was gross to watch. I was like, if he dies in the back of the car, I ain't taking the rap on this. Those Girl Scouts are going to get what they deserve. Blood on their hands.
Jason's daughter's in trouble.
No, let's take it up street. Let's get Jason for this. He's staying in Eaton, Ohio, and I'm sure he's snacking,
But yeah, the stuff like Thin Mints now, Oreos.
No shit.
Yeah.
Did you not know that Oreos were vegan for the longest time?
No, I've known that for most of the time I've been vegan now.
Okay.
But when I first moved to Cincinnati, one thing was like I was trying to be as frugal as possible. I was like, I have no idea if I'm going to survive. I have like, a nice chunk of change put back in case things get rough.
Yeah.
But, I'm not one that gets help from parents or family in that way.
Yeah. You're not the most lucrative business, unfortunately. You're not selling roofs, brother. You're shaking ass just for a small nominal amount.
Exactly.
How old were you when you moved here?
I was 22, about to turn 23.
Cool.
Yeah.
And were you accepted into CCM and they decided to make the move?
Yes. I went to CCM, I auditioned for the commercial music production program, and I didn't realize, like, in all of CCM, about, like, a tenth of the applicants get accepted.
I know. Those are the dogs. They're just keeping an eye on the neighborhood.
All right.
Most of the time they do that when people go walking barefoot. You know what I'm saying? Wrap those tootsies up. My dogs don't like your toes.
That's why I got my shoes on today.
Bro.
Didn't want to upset them.
They know my feet. I go barefoot. Okay, I live a free lifestyle. Yeah, the older dog learned how to howl out of nowhere, and she taught the younger dog. And now they do it together. Sweet bonding. But it does sound like someone's being murdered, unfortunately.
Man, I would like to get to know your feet.
You always find a way to my heart, brother. See, and now it's over. Everything's fine with the doggos.
Anyways. Back to what I was saying.
Yes. You remember what you were saying?
No.
10% of people get into Cincinnati Conservatory
right.
Music. Got to quit using acronyms on the damn show. We got people that don't know what we're talking about. We love your players.
The University of Cincinnati's College Conservatory of Music.
You sound like a douche. You studied music.
I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go there. I wasn't like, there's a good chance I won't get accepted.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, in the fall I'm going to go to CCM and, I got to do the audition, whatever. It's going to be fine.
What concocted that plan? Did you know someone that went there initially?
So John Taylor, the drummer.
No.
Oh, You should know John Taylor, the drummer.
my shit together.
He's insane. You should get your shit together. Seriously.
Is he dating a kid?
Yeah, he's from Dayton, from Vandalia, just north of Dayton, like my dad. Well, like both of my parents. And he was like in bands with my dad in high school. They were good friends, classmates, all of that. And my dad saw him go to school for college and move away and come back and do a lot of different music careers, primarily being like a live performer, and the side man thing, and I finished my psychology degree from Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio.
Way more humble. You saying that made me trust you so much less. So you have a psychology degree. I was like, this dude's probably over here thinking he knows everything.
No, I was a bad psychology student because I didn't like it. Wasn't my passion after all. In high school, I was discouraged and dissuaded from pursuing music professionally
By some kind of half-assed counselor?
From almost the entirety of my family, my peers in high school, and the faculty at high school.
Sounds like a sad place to grow up. My God.
Yeah, Northridge isn't the highest praised school district near Dayton.
Your double E dreams aren't working out, kid. Study something that's gonna get you paid, and you're like, psychology. It's like,
yeah, I'll still not a lucrative career.
I was gonna say, I think he blew it, bro.
That was the one. Before that, I thought about being like doing something with computers, or then I thought about being a nurse. Then I was like, I settled on psychology. Pursued that in college initially. But I realized soon after, taking a bunch of classes and stuff, a lot of this is interesting to me and appeals to me, but it's at the end of the day, I go home and just play music and listen to music and research music and stuff. And
at that point in time, what is your big musical interest? Are you already deep in jazz, focusing on that? Or was that kind of I did this to get through my schooling?
No, jazz came later. And I wouldn't say I'm deep in it because, I'm still not... I'm worse than any jazz studies bass player at jazz that went to CCM.
Gotcha. So was it just kind of required that you play in some ensembles and then private lessons kind of came through that lens?
The ensembles in jazz weren't required, but I still did them every semester. And yeah, Aaron, being the commercial music production bass teacher as well, Aaron Jacobs.
Monster.
Bless up.
Yeah. Dude, and also Aaron. The most casual about it too.
Yes,
the first gig first gig I played with Aaron is you meet the guy and you're like, I've heard this guy is a ridiculous bass player, but the vibe I'm getting is he doesn't even want to be talking to me right now. Not that he's impolite, but it's very casual.
He's got his hair up. He's got his sweater on and
comfy
his khakis.
shoes.
Yeah, probably sandals of some sort, of some amount of covering.
Yes, hopefully the thong sandals. I like to see him split.
It's nice when Aaron brings those pups into school. I'll tell you that.
I'm gonna send him all these clips and be like, we may have started an online foot fetish dedicated to you.
Oh yeah. There's probably already one. I mean, we all love Aaron. Anyone that knows Aaron just loves him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we all want to see his feet, I think.
So did you take private lessons with him all 4 years of school?
No, the commercial music production majors only get 2 years of private lessons. And I tried to push my last year to have private lessons with him still, and there was the workaround was not there.
That seems ridiculous though, because of all the things that you really get from that type of degree, the best thing you can get is one-on-one time with a mentor to get to know the instrument in the way that they do. It's like you don't learn that with 30 people in a classroom asking questions.
Well, the commercial music production majors are there to produce commercial music, not play an instrument. It's wild.
These labeling schemes are just some kind of implementation by the man to get us confused. Your 3-syllable words don't scare me. Okay, it's called commercial. You know what I'm saying, brother?
I get it.
I know you get it.
Matt, I understand.
So what's the basis of that education? Is it mainly online, technology-based stuff?
Not necessarily online, though. You'll have some assignments where you have to work with, produce music with other classmates, and if they're international students that are taking a class online, or if it's during COVID, like when I was there most of my degree, then you do wind up having like more online interactions. But it's just I call it the sample platter of like the music industry, because
the seafood sampler.
The seafood sampler.
It's
baby.
the 5-tier super wet lemon based. Super wet.
Moist. Yeah.
We almost killed my mom with the seafood sampler once. We didn't know she was allergic to shellfish.
Oh.
We just knew she didn't like fish. And me and my brothers went ham. And then we shared an ice cream dish with my mother. And then we're leaving this restaurant. The whole family's going back to this hotel. And my mom's like, I'm feeling itchy. Like, let's hit a Walgreens so I can get some Benadryl. Mm-hmm. And so my dad and my sister go in there. And it's like me and my mom sit in the car. Like, I'm in the back seat. She's in the front seat. And she just goes head into hands. And is just gone. Just straight absent. And in this moment, my 2 other brothers, for no reason, drive into that parking lot. Like they took a separate vehicle.
Okay.
They just felt like something was weird, so they pulled in there. And it ends up with my brother holding my mom by the face, screaming for her to stay with us. And then an ambulance rolls up, and she has to go through, I forget what the drug is that they give you that resets your heart. But it was a weird experience.
Jeez.
And it's all because of the seafood sampler. So that's the last time I went to Long John's. So everywhere else I go that has a nice seafood sample, I'm like, Mom, let's give this thing another shot.
So it's like a deathly allergy.
Yeah, she's
to
a deathly
shellfish.
seafood. Yeah. Seafood in general spooks her, but it's mainly shellfish.
Understandable.
Yeah. And it wasn't Long John's. I shouldn't degrade their brand like that. What a beautiful spot. Maybe an embezzling company. Maybe. When you see a Long John's and a KFC connected at the hip, there's some money transfer going on there that's very suspicious. It's like Mattress Firm being a cover-up. We know what's going on. Any other businesses that you want to slander while we're on here?
Avid.
What? Avid? The Pro Tools bitches?
Pro Tools. They do Sibelius.
I have a little Avid interface that, I didn't know how to use for the longest time, but it's a nice little product. I've been impressed by it. Why don't you like Avid?
Like you just said, I didn't know how to use for the longest time. I think that's Avid's motto.
Overpriced, underprepared.
Yeah, overpriced, not up to date with the music industry of creating and producing music in your DAW. Yeah. With your DAW, because it's shit in Pro Tools.
It does seem like it's a very it's just a capture device. It's pretty much just a multi-track capture, and then if you want plugins, BYOB, bro. You got to get your own shit.
Yeah, Avid has some stock plugins that some people like. I've never messed with them a whole lot, but it's great for tracking. It's great for taking your laptop into another studio, and then being able to in a little more of a friendly way, update your IOs, all the hardware that you need in the new studio, and then mixing and stuff. People like it to use it for, but
Did you like the recording education you got in that sampler pack? Is that something that still interests you, or is that just kind of I did it to get to the degree?
I liked it. through that degree, there was, outside of the business and entrepreneurship colleges that you have to take a couple classes for, there was no class I didn't enjoy. There's no part of the education that didn't interest me to some degree or another.
Yeah.
And it being so varied, I think helped me to not get burnt out as well at any point.
Versus some of the guys who have jazz performance degrees, like, I'm amazed at how much the academic side of music can sour great musicians.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just seems so, you get so forced into a type of vocab that once you come back out into the gigging world, it's like, most of that isn't even accepted. People are like, what did you say over there? And you're like...
Yeah, you have chromatic notes.
Quit playing them broke notes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've known multiple people that go through a jazz program or have gone to Berkeley or whatever, and like they get burnt out with music, or they like don't want to play jazz. They want to play, you know, a lot of groove-based genres instead. And a lot of times they come back to it and they're really good at it as well, but you know, there's just a definite like burnout.
Yeah, and there's really coarse trains of thought that you go through for that. That would sound crunchy. Get a little closer to the mic. Tell them what you... the frequency's around 80 hertz for that. Magnificent, brother. I don't know what you're chewing on, but it kicks, you know?
These are Kroger brand glucose tablets.
Nice.
For the diabetic in your life.
And a whole pack of Oreos. Who's trying to get fucked up tonight?
Dude, this Walmart brand of, like, Great Value name of these double stuffed Oreos I got recently was Twist and Shouts.
No TM involved. It's like we take these off the shelves when they come suing, brother. So what was the first things that you learned on bass that like solidified your calling to it?
That's hard. Because it was like bass just clicked with me instantly, and you know, I learned a lot of the you know.
Waiting, that's how it goes. Millions of people living jungle. Is that how that goes? Is that I only learned up to that first part because I wanted to know what those inversions were. I was like, those are tasty.
Yeah.
So you really started in like the hard rock side of prog?
Yeah, the 70s hard. It wasn't prog yet. It was initially like Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin stuff.
No way.
And yeah.
Does that align with just like what your dad had laying around, or is that what he played?
Mostly what he had laying around.
Okay.
And then I was also listening to the Dayton radio station 103.9 The X, which had new rock of
Edgy.
2006 and 7. So I quickly got super into like Linkin Park. I would learn stuff like 3 Days Grace.
Nice.
You know, Tool was on there. I didn't start learning that sort of stuff that early, but I was listening to it. Papa Roach.
Nice.
You know,
I didn't realize
whole
you had
thing.
like this bag of early 2000s rock in your life.
Oh yeah, it's in my veins.
Who was your favorite band of that era?
Linkin Park? No. My first favorite band ever was Ozzy Osbourne.
Nice. Is there an album that you associate with that?
So at that time, I was listening to like his first 3, like
So that's like Blizzard.
Diary of a Madman.
Yeah.
Bark at the Moon. And then I think in 2007, the album, I think it was maybe Zakk Wylde's last album with Ozzy, Black Rain, came out. I mean,
do you like Zakk
no,
Wylde?
I hate Zakk Wylde. I talk so much shit about Zakk Wylde.
Well, I think
but
just
I love that album still.
Yeah, compared to the other guitar players that have been in Ozzy's life, unfortunately, Zakk is just like, he's like the cover guitarist, you know? It's like, he's one that does it all a little bit worse. But he is a great figure of rock and roll. Like,
he is.
My greatest appreciation for him is when him and Ozzy had like a who can go the longest without brushing their teeth or showering on the road. And I think they both went like close to 8 months without brushing their teeth or showering.
Oh my god!
Just because it's metal, bro. It's like, it sounds like you're actually lonely and just like looking to die young. You know?
Yeah, like there's something wrong going on in your life
like in
right now.
And Jeff Beck got bacterial meningitis, whatever that was. Bacterial meningitis. You know? Ozzy should be dead. You know?
Yeah, Ozzy should not be alive still.
I saw a great meme the other day of Willie Nelson where it said, these young kids better start thinking about the world they're going to leave behind for me and Keith. And I was like, that's awesome. Dude,
I love that.
He had a banging 90th birthday. Like, it looked like everyone played at Willie's 90th birthday party, including him. It's like, I think that's what we should all aspire to. That all these young rock stars want to come rage with you for your 90th, and you're just playing dominoes, smoking a joint. You know, like joy.
What a legend.
Yeah. So those first 3 Ozzy albums, were those like CDs you kept in your car and you'd spin the whole thing, or did you cherry pick?
I was like 11, 12 still, so I wasn't driving actually.
Bullshit. You lived in Dayton.
But I had I think near when I started middle school or 6th grade, my grandma got me an iPod Nano 2 gigabyte.
Nice.
Yeah, it was that time.
Do you remember how many songs you could fit on a 2 gigabyte?
It was a little under 500 or maybe 250. One of those two.
What a different appreciation for your favorite songs and making that purchase and just burning it out on that little roller, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I was never one to buy my music straight from the iTunes store. I would always like find the CD that I wanted and burn it.
Nice.
Because I was so used to burning my parents' CDs. And you had to like, with our computer we had, and just at that time, you had to enter in the names of the artist, like the track info on every track.
So you just got really good at. Did you pull the artwork as well, or no artwork?
No.
I'm printing CDs of the new EP. I'm trying to drag the artwork. It doesn't even go on the goddamn CD. It's like, why do I put myself through this fucking hell? I used to go to the library and grab CDs and burn them that way. Now I realize the ethical qualms with that.
I did it too.
Yeah. A golden period.
Yeah.
My brothers crashed some computers off of LimeWire, and that shit was hilarious too. I had maybe it was Shook Me All Night Long, and it was labeled a Bon Jovi song because it got off of LimeWire.
I had some of those. Yeah.
So you were buying the CDs, bringing them home, and then just stuffing that thing full of your favorite hits.
Burn them. Yeah. So I had plenty of. I had all the Rush, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Zepp. I had some Ramones, Bruce Springsteen, Peter Gabriel.
Dude,
Genesis,
two Peter Gabriel shows this year? Really? Like,
I have 3 tickets. I'm still trying to sell my Chicago one.
Okay. You don't want to go to Chicago because you're going to Toronto?
That and that Chicago day is on a Saturday, and I hope I get called for something.
Yeah. What's the date, just to put it out in the ether?
Let me check the calendar. I think it's the last Saturday of September.
He's got tickets to sell and bass to fling, everybody. Make sure you call them in.
September 30th, that Saturday.
September 30th?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my wedding night, brother.
Yeah.
And who got you into Peter Gabriel? I found that to be such an odd, like, no, I'm seeing 2 shows this year. Like, deep dedication.
Yeah, I spent like over $1,000 on Peter Gabriel tickets this year. Just trying to recoup on that 3rd show a little, to make it just under $1,000 spent. Yeah. So I had some albums near when I was like 6 to 8 years old that came out in the very early aughts. Peter Gabriel's Up, my all-time favorite album.
Really?
My Desert Island album. Yeah.
My Desert Island.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's like it's his least like commercially successful, I think. And least has the lowest like critical reviews of it. And that was 2002 that album came out. 2001 U2's All That You Can't Leave Behind came out, which that Elevate song uses a 60s pedal that this one's based off of.
Well, let it rip. What is that pedal?
This is the Black Cat Monster K Fuzz, serial number 168.
Have you spent more money on fuzz pedals or Peter Gabriel tickets?
Fuzz pedals. Yeah. Yeah.
I was digging through this man's PayPal the other day, and I found that he has a lot of fuzz pedals he buys on there.
Yeah, if you notice, since I was over here 2 days ago, I just bought my 4th Boss OC2.
Oh, nice. Is that the digital one or is that the analog one?
That's the analog one.
Nice.
Yeah, because that one, I'll show that one. It's my all-time favorite pedal.
Come on, David. Oh, I crammed it too hard. For some reason, that drops off your input gain pretty hard.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and with this one, I just love that it has that like fat sine wavy.
And what do you hear in that tells you it's a sine wave?
Or like square wave, rather. It just has a similar, like it turns the waveform. It makes it similar to a raw square wave form.
Which is closer to like a synth bass kind of look?
Yeah, which is closer to synth bass.
And what do you call like a typical bass note? What kind of wave would that be?
I don't know what you would call like the regular waveform of. I mean, it's just like a waveform.
What?
I don't know. It's just it's like us talking. There's a waveform.
Yeah. So do you get like almost like a bit crusher kind of feel when you engage a pedal like that and you get the square wave thing going on? It just feels boxier and wider?
Yeah, it's just boxier and wider for this one. I have essentially a bit crusher on here as well to further, and putting, like my normal pedal board doesn't have these guys. It's just when I'm playing with Matt and a couple other artists, it's my Boss OC2 octave pedal.
At the start of the chain or at the back of the chain?
Start. Yeah, right from my bass. It goes directly into that one. Then I have a 3-leaf audio Your Doom, which is spelled like you are doom.
You're doomed.
Yeah, it's like, when you just say it, it sounds like, oh, it's your doom. It's my doom. But it's you are doom. So, like, I am the doom. Because this is so fuzzy and awesome.
It's a second fuzz pedal?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's your regular fuzz pedal.
It's my regular fuzz pedal I've been using. Because it also gets this synth quality.
I'm trying to push your gain without getting all that fuzzy fuzz. I want your fuzzy fuzz, but I don't. Yeah.
Turn the mix up.
That's a nice, like the mids feel present in that fuzz. And I've always heard from like guitar fuzzes that the main thing that you lose is a lot of the mid range of it. So
yeah, a lot of times, a lot of modern pedals try to fix that.
Yeah.
But they all vary. Sometimes you just want that vintage sounding, more scoop fuzz thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like this is just your average big muff, but we threw a mid boost on it.
Nice.
You know, so
just like the little like the flip switches on a pedal kind of thing, like a modified big muff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Germanium big muff.
Yeah, so the Octavert into the fuzz, and then after that I have a envelope filter, which is
show me your squawk.
This is a crazy, weird one that does a lot of different things. You know, and it has different settings. So it has the fast quack, where it does it instantly. It has a slow, where it takes it a second.
So what's all the knobs that you can go after on there?
There is clean volume, so my regular bass tone without the effect. The filter volume, so the effect.
It's like a wet and dry on the bottom kind of thing?
Yeah, wet volume, dry volume. I think this one, EXP, that's your experience if you when you level up. No. I think that controls how if you hook it up to an envelope filter.
Oh, no way. So that's just a mini wah for that pedal?
Yeah, you can. I've not messed with it in that mode much.
Who makes this pedal?
Iron Ether.
Is this like your deep internet binge love? Like you go on and find odd pedal makers and...
Yeah. Most of these are... I mean, this brand, DSM Humboldt, has been like seeing a little more rise, and it's like a Sweetwater brand.
Cool.
You know, I have Boss, and I have Mower as the expression pedal, but the other ones, this isn't made anymore. This company's out of business.
Nice.
This company isn't out of business, but like they have Your Doom, and they have Your Doom 2, which I have one at home, but they just like sent out an email to the email list subscribers that like we're gonna have new Your Doom 2s with like a different color pedal enclosure. The font is different color, and inside it's like I think the maker had modified some of previous Your Dooms, and so this one is just like that modified one that is like a higher gain mod.
Fascinating.
And he was like, we're gonna release 100 that you can, if you get on the website at this time, you can check out and be one of the people to get one of these first 100, and then 12 hours after that, another 100, and then we're going to move on and start working on the next pedal, which is probably, I don't know if it's going to be their envelope filter from 3-Leaf Audio, or if it's going to be their octave pedal or what. But I got on like the time they were putting these out. As soon as the clock turned, it was like 3 p.m. or something our time. I think he's in California.
Yeah.
I like put in my info, went through the checkout, the cart, and they were all sold out.
By the time that you started right when they dropped,
right,
you couldn't.
When, yeah, and I couldn't get one.
Hoed.
And I stayed up till 3 a.m. or whatever. Might have been 2 a.m. To like try to get that 12 hours after the next 100.
Yeah.
And I darted through the checkout, like, you know,
button mashing.
Yeah, button mashing. Like, I don't care if I get my address wrong. I'll find this fucking thing. Like, and you know, auto-filled everything I could, and like again, all sold out before I could get one. I was like, how?
That's devastating, bro.
Yeah. So you know, people are hungry for these.
Yeah.
And if you go on like, well, they can get pretty expensive on the used market if you are shopping on like Reverb or like the typical places to buy them. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these, there's a bass forum website that I look through like every day, just looking at all the gear that's posted, because I can learn about a new weird brand I didn't know about that has a cool thing, even if I don't buy it or not. It's like educational for just the world of bass.
Yeah.
or cool brands, or like oddball. Like some dude sold this double neck Rickenbacker like 6 months ago.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was like white, which was the finish that, it was my favorite finish that they don't make anymore. And
do you have a Rick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a jet glow black like Getty's.
Nice.
Yeah. But that sold for like 20 grand or something.
Sweet Jesus.
It was insane, and that's the only one in the world.
Yeah. So for your pedal signal path, you go modulation, distortions, then your compressor to DI. Like, do you have anything else in that path?
No, right now it's like the octave / synth, then it's the fuzz, then it's the envelope filter, so the modulation after that fuzz.
And
then
do you really like that, the back of that chain? Has that always just been something that you assumed is envelope filter towards the end?
I did it this way on this board so that I could have my synth sound, and then if I want to, the fuzz, most of these pedals have a clean blend ability. I can throw some fuzz on top of that, on top of the synthy sound, or I can do the fuzz just from my bass. And then same with the envelope filter, it can get the envelope on top of the octave and the fuzz, or just separate with my bass or whatever. So it's like if I wanted to, it's like this octave pedal, it's as if I'm plugging in a synth bass, like a Moog, into the other pedals at that point.
And do you find that clean blend is pretty essential for pedals that you're going to consider for your board because you want to have that big alteration at the top?
It is, yeah. This pedal doesn't have a clean blend, so I don't use it live much at all. I've used it a couple times, but it mostly stays at home. And it's super cool. And I don't have any fuzzes that have expression pedal abilities that have clean blend as well. So it's,
The market has needs.
I know.
Well, before we start to wrap this up, Daddy-O, you want to play him something? Can I comp so you can show him a little bit of these pedal funk?
Sure.
What key you want to be in, dog?
We can keep that E minor.
Is there any way you can hit your gain up a little bit? I can see why you put that there in the chain now. Okay. And that's your bit crusher?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Oh, what is that, like a treble knob, or is that like the actual bit rate?
The rate.
Cool. What's the lowest bit rating you'll hit? Oh.
Yeah.
And that's like the 1 bit.
Yeah, so it's not actually a bit crusher. It's like a ring mod kind of thing. That's
okay.
It's an analog pedal, and bit crushers are digital. But this maker got this bring my thing, made it all weird, and
Yeah.
just, like, gives it a bit crush quality.
I love when certain pedals, like, give yourself some sustain and then roll it off and see the way that, like, it just fucks itself up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I got a couple of delay pedals that'll give me a great wobble if I do something like that. Mm-hmm. Have you ever considered going to a big multi-effects board, or have you always just said, like, I enjoy the analog thing too much and the variety?
I love the analog thing. I always, like, my personality and stuff, I thought I would be the one who gets a giant unit that can do anything and, like, just learn the ins and outs and, know every way to tweak it. But fuck, I have a Line 6 HX Stomp, and it fucking confuses me every time I try to, like, bring it out for something.
Yeah. You ever run it with, like, a laptop so you can design things there?
So I do have the Helix Native plugin.
Oh, nice.
I use that a lot.
Yeah.
On the computer when I'm, making demos and doing stuff. But I love it for guitar. But for bass, like, they have a couple different octavers, none of which sound as good as this one.
Yeah.
I haven't found a digital bit crusher that I like as much as this, like, fake analog bit crusher thing. It just sounds amazing. Same with the envelope filters. Like, before I had a Digitech X Series bass synth wah on my board that I have at home now, and I replaced it for this Iron Ether. It took me forever to tweak this one to get it to a point where I'm like, okay, I will remove the other one and I will use this one now.
Yeah.
And that was mostly because this one plays nicer with the other effects as well, so I can have more combinations. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I was only using the envelope with my bass signal, I would just use the other one because I like how it sounds raw more. But yeah,
it's such a hard game to get your signal chain to sound like you and to also be consistently functional. Like, the one thing about that I'll never miss is, like, patch cables and underpowering units. Like, I always had issue if I had a 12 volt, like, pedal or anything like that, or I had some Pictronic stuff for a while that was 18 volt. They had a really interesting pedal that was, like, it was a compressor sustainer, so, like, you could step on it and just let something just run off for the longest time. And, like, you ever watch Rick Beato? Yeah, he'll do some of that stuff with the sustainer where it's like if he's going to show you a scale, he'll open with that chord and then walk through it.
Yeah.
And I love the etherealness of the way that hangs.
Yeah, he just lets that.
Yeah. And then he just walks you through the whole mode of it, whatever. Dude's straight monstrous.
Yeah.
But with something like this, it was interesting to get, like, all the options that I would never buy. Like, I would never buy an auto filter.
Oh, you should.
But it just seems like one of those pedals that I would get a Qtron if I found the right Qtron, because they're great little pedals.
Yeah.
But just to get it all in one box was a relief. But then I missed the ability to reach down and throw something to, God knows where and let it fly.
Yeah, it is nice that, this analog thing and the individual pedals, if I'm doing my normal synthy sound, and someone's like, hey, we're going to do, what's the Peter Gabriel hit?
Sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer, thank you. Letting mama down.
It's the greatest dick joke of all time. I mean,
then I would need to blend in some of the clean signal in this to get, because he used this pedal on the record.
No shit.
It does the.
First time I walked into like a BWK showcase and I wasn't working it, Derek Johnson was playing that song on kit, And he had me about to break my C2, C3, dude. I was having the fucking time of my life. And I
Dude.
never heard that song before.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it shreked me real good. Like, it
Nice.
was all over, brother.
Yeah, Derek is awesome, man. There was... I think we were playing, like, Juice at a wedding one time, and he did this drum fill that is just forever ingrained in me. Like, it was so nasty.
It's gained a permanent spot.
Yeah.
Well, brother, before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to promote to the people? Anywhere that they should find you, book you, employ you, send you shit?
Yeah, I mean, if you need a bass player, especially for, you know, group bass genres, your funks, your rocks, your blues, whatevers.
The daddy do it real good. Thank
Daddy
you
do
for
it
all
real
the
good.
time that you
You're
put into our band, man. I appreciate the fuck out of it.
Of course, man. I'm glad to be there. You know, love you guys, and,
We love you.
yeah,
Cool.
especially Nick.
Especially Nick.
Especially Nick.
Well, my friends, that's Kainan Shank. Give him a call. Follow him online. What's your Insta? Just Kainan
Just
Shank?
Kainan Shank, yeah.
Who would have thunk it? Kinanshank.
Kainan.
KEW Batman symbol _ 69 dash Mad Dog 420 on the Instagram. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for watching.